You don't own me.
Booking a room with 2 beds at a hotel isn't exactly your idea of a romantic getaway. Orbitz gets it. Visit orbitz.com/pride to find hotels that welcome you to travel as you are. Orbitz, travel as you are.
So just let me be myself to say and do whatever I please. I found my way home across the Grand Mirage.
Yay! Hi! Yes, it is the Allison Arngrim Show, and I'm Allison Arngrim. Some of you may know me as the evil Nellie Olson from Little House on the Prairie. But tonight I'm Allison Arngrim, and this is the Allison Arngrim Show. And here on the Allison Arngrim Show, we talk about things that make you feel good. The TV shows and the movies that made us feel good and the people who made them. And people who are doing things now to make the world a better and more interesting place. Well, I'm probably biased, but what could make the world a better and more interesting place more than someone making a movie and putting me in it? So indeed, that's how I feel. So if you've been following my Facebook, if you've been following anything, you know that I made a movie. I'm in a movie, and it's coming out in August. And the trailer dropped today, and everyone is insanely excited. We're all hopped up. So indeed, I'm pulling myself together. It's called Even in Dreams. And there's actually like a premiere in Utah on August 4th. It goes completely in the theaters August 6th. It's craziness. I made this movie in the middle of the pandemic. Oh, yeah, we're going to talk about that. It is absolutely the craziest thing in the entire world. And with me is a most unlikely series of events that resulted in our meeting, the amazing filmmaker, Savannah Ostler. Savannah!
Wow, Allison, thank you for that introduction. The most unlikeliest of me.
It was completely crazy. It's the most insane story of how we met and how this movie is now happening. It's nuts.
It is. It totally is nuts.
Pocatello, Idaho. Just even saying it, Pocatello, Idaho. There was an event. There was this crazy fan con thing in Pocatello, Idaho. I was there because, autographs, Little House Number. And Pocatello, Idaho has this with Snake River thing. And it was like steampunk and of zombies and Star Trek and Star Wars and like mermaids.
It was everything. It was everything.
It was all those things at once. And now, how did you I know I wound up there because they said, hey, come in, we'll fly you in, you'll sign things and sell them. How the heck did you wind up in Pocatello, Idaho at this insane event that we were at?
It was hilarious. So I ended up there. I heard about the convention through Warky, Warky, our mutual friend. And he said, yeah, I'm going to be in Pocatello for this fan convention, maybe you might want to come because if I recall, it was like the fall of 2018 or something.
And they had panels on filmmaking. They had panels on filmmakers. So it's like panel filmmakers. Oh my God, meet people. Yeah,
Yeah, so I was there promoting my first film, Twice the Dream, and that's how we met. And it's funny enough. So my mom was there. You remember my mom was there. And, she bought your book and was like really excited. She's like, yes, I love Little House on the Prairie. I love Nellie. And, and I grew up watching Little House too. And it was my mom that said, no, you should go introduce yourself. Tell her you're a filmmaker. Tell her you're a writer. You're a director. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that. She's going to think I'm stupid. Nellie Olson was the meanest girl on the prairie. Are you kidding me?
The infamous Steve Nunez is his real name, who's done massive voiceover for anime and cartoons and things, but I'll call him Worky, Steve Worky Nunez. Yeah. And was it Chris Escalante, who was like on one of the panels, and they were on this panel about filmmaking stuff. And I finally met them at the thing, and they're like, you need to meet this girl. You need to talk to this girl. So this is all Warkey's fault. Thank heavens you put him in the movie. This is all his fault. This is all
it
this
totally
is all Steve Warkey Nunez's fault.
It totally is, because it's like, wait a second. It's all their fault. And it was just hysterical. But yeah, but it was
I chat her up. I have her on the show. Oh, she's a young filmmaker, but it was this whole story. You know, you wanted to make the film, and everybody told you couldn't, and you did. But then she's like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna make a sequel." Yeah, sure you are. And then I was like, "No, I'm making the sequel, and you're in it." Now, when we had you on originally, the whole story was this story about these girls, which then I suddenly in. You actually wrote the script for the first movie, and that was the thing, is that it's a little independent film. Bob and I saw it finally and went, she didn't have any money, and this is like good. How did she do that? We knew this was like $1.98 in a sandwich, and yet she made the film. You wrote the script in high school. Is this true?
Yeah. Well, technically, if we're like, I started writing like the story, in junior high, like when I was 14, and it's just one of those weird things. Well, it was, during math class. I've never been great at math, so I'm always just daydreaming, like, oh man, like, if only, I could just escape this mundane reality. And then all of a sudden this story about these two sisters that share this really close bond, but also they share this dream of becoming musicians together, and then there's this tragedy that threatens to take that dream away from them. I don't know, like there are certain moments like in your life that like, wow, this is like a life-changing moment. And like when I came up with that story, I was like, yes, my life mission, I'm going to tell this story, I'm going to make the movie. And who knew it'd be 2 movies, but here we are. Dreams come true.
I mean, I was bored in math class. I did not write a feature film.
What?
You get bored in math class and wrote a full-length feature film.
I thought that was just like math class boredom 101. You're bored, I'm going to write a movie.
And see, now the thing is, a lot of people get bored in class and go, I have this great idea for a movie. But then you actually pursued it. You studied film. You went to film school. You married a guy who happens to be a cinematographer. You actually then devoted your life to filmmaking and actually went there.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And it wouldn't have been possible, frankly, without my husband's help. Like, and he graduated film school from what's it called? UC, I don't know. University Cal Long Beach. I'm a Southern girl. And he's a phenomenal cinematographer and editor. I mean, he's like a jack of all trades, like, and especially the way we made the first movie, there's no way I would have been able to afford someone with that caliber of talent normally, like I would not be able to afford his rate.
And that's the thing, is that what struck me about when we saw it, it's this, the best way I can explain, if someone's going, what are you guys talking about? If I would say, okay, think like Hillary Duff, Hear My Voice, uplifting teenage girl, raw film. And it's that kind of thing. And I'm this darling film, these 2 cute blonde girls, and they sing, and isn't this lovely? And then, yes, terrible things happen, but will she carry on the dream and the whole thing? And it's all about following your dreams, and very sweet and very innocent and very uplifting. And all these really cute people in it. And we knew when we watched, we didn't like have any money, but I was like, wait, this is done well. There's been attention to detail and quality and post-production, which normally in low-budget films, they don't pay any attention to post-production.
Right.
And you did. And it really worked. Also, you managed to have it run in theaters. We saw it in a theater in LA. You got some release, but people with that level of not having money and making a movie do not wind up in theaters. But you're in theaters.
No, that's very true. Like, it was kind of like strange and crazy how that kind of happened, but yeah, it just kind of like took on a life of its own. We premiered the first movie in Utah, and then one of the theater film buyers called me up and asked about it, and that's how we got it in California and Arizona. And like, are you the writer director of Twice a Dream? I'm like, yeah, like, like it's really bizarre. So I think the story of these movies, like the on-screen story, is all about, following your dreams, and dreams can come true no matter what, no matter how hard it takes, how long it takes. But it also kind of really definitely mirrors the reality of how we got these movies made in the first place. And then our new movie, Even in Dreams. So funny enough, it's like kind of a spiritual sequel, like to our first film. Like, it has a lot of the same characters, but I wrote it in a way where anyone, who anyone could see it, and it would make sense. You know what I mean?
Right. And that's the other thing too. People, with my reputation, how I am, between my stand-up act and my personality, people have, when they hear I have a film out, one of the first things I keep getting asked is this a film I can take my children to? And I'm like, yes, no, I didn't make it to X-rated movie. It's okay, guys. I know it's a very wholesome movie. It is absolutely a family film, and everyone can grasp this. But it is very spiritual. It has all sorts of things going on. And I said that the uplifting thing, as I said with my publicity quote, all these wonderful, uplifting, and very positive characters who have such good values. Oh, except for me, because I'm totally evil. I just like
you are. You're totally evil. You're totally evil.
And I think that's interesting. Like I said, the reality of how you made the films, and then the actual film. It's a little like the Rocky story, because it's like they're very similar in the theme of what happened of this girl making a movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It totally is. Like, it's just like, oh my gosh, it's so bizarre, because that
you ran
the first
into trouble when you said when you were working, you were almost ready to make the first film, and then you ran into trouble because Hollywood, and you ran into who tried to stab you in the back, basically.
I mean, honestly, like, we got scammed. Like, it was nothing sort of getting scammed. I don't know how else to put it. Like we hired a quote unquote line producer in Hollywood, and he was embezzling our production. But yeah. And that was back in 2014. And yeah, when I say like embezzle, yeah, like it was thousands of dollars. It was a huge loss. And it was heartbreaking. It was just like, oh my gosh. I remember crying, like, at the airport. I was flying back from New York. Like, I don't know, he was weird. He's like, yeah, we have some fancy meetings in New York and blah, blah, blah. And so I remember I was like at the airport, I was waiting to fly back to LA, and I was just bawling my eyes out thinking, like, how did I get in this mess? Like, how did it I felt sick to my stomach, bawling my eyes out. I'm all alone. And I remember this really kind woman comes up to me and was like, hey, are you okay? Like, do you need something? And I'm just like, maybe water. So she goes over and buys me a water bottle. I'm like, that is really sweet. And, it's like one of those really small moments that meant a lot. And then it kind of like gave me hope again in humanity. I'm like, okay, there's good in the world. You just have to, seek it and find it. And but yeah,
so literally a bottle of water. You just had your entire film career destroyed, took the money, you're not going to be able to make the movie, but a stranger brought you a bottle of water, and you went, maybe it's okay.
Yeah, it was just like, maybe it's okay. It was a good bottle of water. It was like Fiji, it was like high quality. So it was just kind of funny. It was just like, wow, man. But it's all about persevering, and it was years after even that, trying to make it. I would pitch it to other producers in LA, Hollywood people, Hollywood, and get a lot of like, oh, really love the story, but how do you feel? Like a couple of them were like, how do you feel about switching the two sisters to two brothers, make it a little bit more marketable and mainstream? I'm like, yo, no.
Could it not be about a girl? Could it maybe not? Could it be about a guy? Yeah.
Right. And then it's like, literally, in the first one, it was like, there's not enough of a love story. And I was like, because apparently that's all girls can, enjoy.
It needs to be about the boy in the band that she is kind of dating, because let's make it all about that. And where is the sex scene?
Yeah.
And could they be sexier? And make it the focus, the band and the guy. And then she's just his girlfriend who's a subplot.
Yeah, she's just like a subplot, and I was like, no, that's not how we're doing it. So then I just decided, I'm gonna Rocky it. I'm going to direct it myself. I'm going to also act in it because I had a very clear vision for that character, and that's I think from that moment, then ever since it kind of like clicked, and I'm like, oh crap, I need to do things myself. I need to do it myself. No one else is gonna, make my movie for me. It just and then everything seemed to change. And then as fate would have it, that's how we met. I was promoting that movie at Pocatello at the convention.
And it's interesting because when you say, have I got a part for you? Essentially, in a way, I'm sort of playing like the person who screwed you over and almost ruined your movie.
No, can I just be totally honest?
Go, you do it. like for anything else ever. Okay.
There's very specific lines of dialogue in our new movie that, were directly influenced from that scam artist Hollywood guy. Yeah. Oh, for sure. And it's so funny because when you came to our premiere of the first movie, I said, okay, I think I'm gonna write you a part in my next movie, but you probably didn't think I was actually serious. I was totally serious.
Right, because there's that puts you in the next movie, and then it's, of course, it's more of her continuing to dream. She goes to Nashville, the singer, the band, they're gonna go to Nashville. Oh my God, they're gonna make it. And then, oh dear, their manager has to go, is quit, and to get a new man, they have to get a new manager. And then it's just everybody's nightmare of the person who says, trust me, and you trusted that person when you were trying to make the first film. The person you meet, they seem to know what they're doing in the industry. They say to trust them, and then everything just goes so wrong.
Everything, but can I say, to give Deborah, which is the name of your character, her Deborah credit, she's a lot smarter and more sophisticated than the guy.
So the person who ripped you off was much dumber. Okay, that's good to know. But the character, and I love it because I thought, well, this is what happens. There's always someone when they see talent and they see beauty, and that's the thing, is that the character of Sam, she's so beautiful. She's so amazing. Monica Moole Smith, just renamed, love the girl, and she's so pretty. And then the guy, the young singer, he's so pretty, and and they're talented and they're lovely and charming. And so there are people who see that and they zero in on, and it's not with the best intentions, to put it mildly. And there are those people, they say, I can make you a star. I can make this happen. Oh, but you have to completely sacrifice all your principles and stop doing everything you're doing and everything you believe in and do this over here. And that's a real thing that happens all the time to young people, and it's horrifying. And so to be allowed to play the incarnation of that awful syndrome, I have to admit I enjoyed that.
I'm so glad, because I remember talking to you on the phone after you read the script. You're like, okay, I know this person, like I've met this agent or manager.
Mm-hmm. And then sometimes it was a guy, and sometimes it was a woman, and sometimes, but we have met this person, and we know this person. We've all seen this happen, and that's why there were scenes in the movie. I said, this is very realistic. I like. There is a trailer. We have trailer now. This is the big deal. That's why I'm having you on, and why we're all excited is that this is opening on the 6th. The actual trailer for this movie is now officially, today is the day the trailer is out and allowed to be viewed. So, Sean, if you are available to roll the trailer, we would love to look at the trailer for Even in Dreams.
Coming right up.
Wow. Okay. Again, $1.98 a sandwich, yet you have produced a trailer.
Yeah. I love it, and we're all so excited for the trailer. I mean, I feel it really perfectly encapsulates that feel good, underdog story. So I'm so excited.
Now, how did you manage to get distribution? Because you're going to be in theaters on August 6th. The premiere in Utah, and then you're actually going to be in theaters. I know people with budgets much larger than yours who make films, and then the problem is they go, oh, well, we don't have distribution. And it's always like, yeah, but you have distribution. You have distribution. And you were talking about today, that you're talking about, okay, and then after it's in the theaters, that where it's going to wind up eventually streaming. And there'll be how did you manage to get? I know people they don't get. How did you get distribution? Like everyone's like, how did you do that?
I think it's literally just a thing of I'm not afraid to call anyone. I'm just like, hey, we got a new movie. Like, we need a distributor. Are you interested? No, but in all seriousness, we're the company that is distributing our film, Purdy Distribution. Steve and I met with Brandon Purdy, the president, back, oh gosh, I want to say like 2.5 years ago. And he really enjoyed the first film, but it was like after we had released. And was just, he totally knows what he's doing as far as, marketing and getting the film out there as wide of a release as possible. Like his newest film, which he attached our trailer to, it's called The Witnesses. It comes out in theaters on June 4th. So if you go see that movie, you'll see our trailer on the big screen. So kind of fun. But anyway, like he just totally knows what he's doing. So yeah, I called him up and I was like, hey, it's Savannah, that girl from Utah, remember me? And then I sent him, the screener, and he calls me up and says, I think you got something here. Like, when can we talk? And bada boom, It was like Cinderella's glass slipper, a perfect fit.
Well, it's you're not afraid to hear no. You'll just dial the phone and go, well, what are they going to do? Say no?
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, what are they going to do? But yeah, no, I'm really, we're really happy to be working with Purdy Distribution. They have an awesome track record, and it genuinely, it makes a filmmaker feel good. Like, I was just talking to him earlier. He's like, trailer drop is going great. Keep at it, keep hustling, because, it's, as Deborah, your character says, promote.
It's true. I just so amazed. Now, I'm flabbergasted. Monica Moore Smith.
Yes.
Where did you find her? Because she's the star, the lead girl who's
the
girl who I drag forcibly across the stage. I manhandle her quite a bit. It's like,
I told you to manhandle her. I was like, just do it, man. Like, and Monica's so sweet, and like, she's so, yeah, like, easygoing. Just like, okay, I'm just like, yeah, just don't be afraid to just grab her.
Grabbing her, and I'm like, okay, am I hurting your neck? Can I put my hand here? And then I'm like, I like drag her across the room. Like, you okay? She's like, yeah, no, I'm good. You just make sure you put your hand here. So make sure I didn't like hurt her shoulder or something. Where did she come from? I'm seeing on IMDb, she's done all these like little things, horror film here, a film here, and she's the star of both your films, and she's perfect because she has this like very pretty blonde and like the innocent quality, but then she's also slightly goofy. It's like a comedic thing. She's kind of like, she's not chocolate box, oh, I'm the blonde Barbie. She's kind of almost like nerdy,
right?
Hot nerd. I don't know. And where the heck did you find her?
We held like an open casting call. This was back in, maybe January of 2018. And we auditioned. We saw many girls auditioning for the role of Sam. So a lot coming from Utah, and then Idaho and Arizona and some California. But it just we were having a hard time finding the right girl, because she also had to pass as my sister, like, realistically, right? So it was tough, and that role is so meaty. I mean, the dramatic chops that this actress, needed to have. It's a very demanding role, and she also has to
sing, she has to perform, she has to go through all this stuff, she has to get dragged around and beaten up by me.
It's like she has to do all these things. So when I saw her self-tape video, it was kind of like immediately like, oh, yes. And actually, my mom was really big on the casting process, like, because she has a great eye, and she was like, yep, that's the girl. I'm like, yep, we're good.
Walked into an audition. I love that also your mother is in like everything. Your mother was doing like weird like art direction costume things in the sequel that I was in. She's like, okay, we have this pin that you're wearing in this scene, and it like means this. And I'm like, oh, okay. it's like oh, it's the mom is here. And she had like all this like jewelry and costuming and stuff, and it's like, it was a trip. But I love that you're like, your mom is like there all the time. That's how wholesome can you get?
This is like how Little House on the Prairie can you get, right? Like, I'm like, okay, but I'm working with my mom, and my mom was in charge of the props and a lot of that, and she handmade the notebooks, really just like really special. Like, you know, that scene where you and Sam, you know, you're like, this, you know, you carry this notebook around, you know, wherever you go. What is it? Oh, it's my sister's notebook. It's your sister's. Why do you have it? You
And
know,
that's a huge thematic thing. Like I said, she was doing like art direction because certain objects and props that had like a big theme in them, it's just like she made them. So that was a whole trip. So, and then I have to ask because like we shot this whole thing in Utah, and as you said, you can finance people in Utah and the distributor in Utah, and there's an Osmond in it. There is an Osmond in this movie. Not even kidding. So you have me and then Nathan Osmond. Marie's nephew. I worked with Marie years ago, so it's Marie's nephew.
yeah, technically there's two Osmonds. We have two Osmonds.
How did you get two Osmonds? How did that happen?
We have twice the Osmonds. Let's see, because we have Nathan Osmond, who you see in the trailer, and then Eric Osmond, just for like a little cameo.
Eric's
he
in
plays
it too.
an original
You have
song.
two Osmonds. You have two Osmonds in this picture.
Yeah, we totally do. It's like Little House on the Prairie, Osmonds. Oh my!
Now, this makes it wonderfully bonkers for me because years ago I did a TV movie of the week. Back in the 80s, it was really silly. It was called I Married Wyatt Earp. And Marie Osmond, not only was Marie starring in it, as Marie was wanting to do, she was like producing the whole thing. She was very you. She was producing the whole thing and overseeing the whole production. But I wound up playing Marie Osmond's friend in I Married Wyatt Earp and playing this girl is in this theater company in Tombstone. It was an absolute trip. And so then now you're right back and it was like, Nathan! He's like, hi! It's like, yeah, oh, you worked with my aunt. I remember. So it's very, very strange, this whole Osmond Arngrim connection. Now, obviously, there is this wacky, like, Mormon connection. I mean, no, you don't have to be a Mormon to see this film. It is not a Mormon movie. But there is a Mormon connection because the number of people kept popping up in this story are either Mormon, were raised Mormon, grew up in a Mormon community. Everything's happening in Utah. You have not one but two Osmonds. So what is the Mormon connection here? What is going on with that?
Wow. So there's definitely a large Mormon connection, especially, you know, filming the movie in Utah. A lot of the cast and crew were either, you know, raised Mormon and or still are. You know, but I mean, we have just people of all faiths and all walks of life, all, you know, different, you know, beliefs, sexual orientations. Like we all just kind of work together because like there's a lot of awesome gay actors in our film, you know, like Steve Nunez, and it's great. And, you know, so it's like we got the Mormons, we got gay people. We're just celebrating just awesomeness, you know? Like
everybody. Oh yeah, and you can't get more out than Worky Nunez.
No, and he's totally like a proud out, you know, gay man, and that's freaking awesome. Bless him.
And he's also hilarious. For you're wondering, Worky, as I said, normally a lot of voiceover plays the fashion designer that, of course, I's manager wanted to have all new clothes, and he plays this absolutely extraordinarily eccentric, mad fashion designer. It's a very funny scene.
Yes.
So we do love it.
It's so fun. But yeah,
it came because everybody
definitely
Utah, it came out of this thing. So there is like every time I turned around, there was a Mormon. But or there were people who raised Mormon. So it was very, very Utah. Luckily, you did have coffee on the set. That was one of our running jokes because at Snake River, it was like there was no coffee. Because everyone's like, I talked to this woman at Snake River. She goes, I don't know. I drink coffee now, but I don't know how to make it. I never learned to make the thing. I'm like, understandable.
It's hilarious. No, and we specifically, I had Crafty, which was my brother Stevie. And I was like, we need to get this.
So you got the mother, the husband, the brother. They were all there.
We're all here. We're all there. You know, my grandma has a line.
Your grandma was on the set. Yeah, your brother was what the craft services. That was your brother.
Craft services, yeah. And bless his heart, like, you know, he got the right coffee, but he didn't know how to make it. So we needed, he needed help. And I was like, that's the cutest thing. Like, I don't know if there's anything cuter than that.
So that was a whole bizarre running theme. It's very strange. Now, we shot this movie in the middle of the pandemic. When we first said, okay, we're going to go ahead and do this, and I remember I said, are we going to go ahead and we're going to wait? We're going to go ahead. What are we going to do? Well, we'll start no, maybe we're not starting right away. And everyone was just walking on pins and needles going, how do we do this? How do we do this? And I had friends going, you're not seriously going to get on a plane and go to a set. Like, apparently I am. And I was so pleased because they were just coming up with the protocols. I was getting all the emails from the Screen Actors Guild, and there was this whole white paper, and Hollywood was just nailing down, going, okay, what are our protocols going to be? How are we going to make movies and stuff? What do we do on a set? How do we separate people? And the next thing I know, it's like, we're shooting this, and we'll be sending you your COVID-19 rapid test kit that you will give us your saliva and put in the mail. Okay. And I was tested before I left, and you flew me out first class with absolutely nobody in my row, and I had my mask. And then I got tested on arrival. Every single person there was being tested every 2 days. There were the temperature checks all day. Everyone was separated. There was all this distancing, and lunch was like, here's your fabulous box lunch. Please go outside. And we ate outside. The protocols were so strict. You shot an entire movie, and there was not one infection.
I still can't believe that. But yeah, we shot an entire film. I think it helped that for lunch, we had like picnics outside, and it was nice. It was nice weather.
It was Utah. It was gorgeous. I was out on this lawn in Utah going, well, if you're going to eat outside.
Yeah, it was really gorgeous. So we're like, I really do think the stars kind of aligned for us, because like any little hurdle, big hurdle that would come up, we as a team would just find a way around it and make things work. And the post-production and distribution process is literally kind of the same way. It's just like the stars are aligning, like, yay. So I can't remember who joked, or somebody said like, yes, God likes this movie. He wants the movie to succeed. And it just made me laugh.
You have two Osmonds. You could go there. I mean, it's like, that's a possibility.
But it's just so funny. It's just so funny. Even though, I mean, we have a lot of, Mormons, we have a lot of Christians working on it, but the movie itself is very mainstream. Like, it's not technically like a Christian movie. It's not a Mormon movie. It's a movie for everybody, There's a little bit of a spirituality element, but I think it's
definitely sticking to your beliefs, and the fact that she has a moral code. The character Sam has a moral code that she's about loyalty to her friends in the band, and sticking to what she said she was going to do, and sticking to what she was going to do for her sister and her family, and that she has a code of ethics of like, this is who I am, and this is what I do and what I don't do, and then spiritual connection with the sister and everything. So that's there, and the uplifting quality. And then of course I'm like, envy, lust, gluttony, wrath.
Every film needs an antagonist, and this film, clearly, I wonder who the antagonist is.
I'm kind of all seven deadly sins just kind of happening right there. But I think that, that's one of the things I like about it. I try to do projects that are, it's weird to say, I try to do projects that are nice, even if my character isn't. I like movies and TV shows. Like I talk about the Allison Arngrim show, things that make you feel good. I like to be in things where when people watch it, they're not depressed. They watch it and say, that was very uplifting. Yes, you can follow your dreams. I like things like that are supportive of people's dreams, and are projects that are uplifting, and the theme is good. And yes, I do many a scandalous thing, but I also like sometimes making stuff where like going, yes, you can absolutely go to this movie and bring all of your children and grandma. It's fine. I like having that catalog of stuff available for fans. And this was just such an awesome example of that.
Awesome. That's so awesome. I love that. I love that. Because I'm the same way. I love obviously feel good movies and projects, and I mean, you could probably tell by looking at me. I don't really like depressing movies. I don't much care for them. I'd much rather watch like, you know, a Cinderella Story or Legally Blonde for the millionth time. But because like, especially going to the movie theater, and experiencing those dark lights and just being completely immersed with the story and the music.
Which everyone's finally going to be able to do.
Yeah.
Just now, in California, where it's June 15th here, they're saying that's it, fine, you're open June 15th, but one by one, and theaters, some of them are opening at partial capacity or wear a mask or whatever, but it's getting. Yeah. You can go to the movies now, and I got my shot and I got my mask, and it's like it's happening, and this is coming out in August. Whereas before it was going to be, well, it'll be streaming, and you can go to the movies. This is coming out just in time with the period where people are going to be able to go back to the theater.
Right. And I think it's perfect timing, especially now. The message, of inspiration and hope, and, following your dreams and being true to yourself and your loved ones. I think that message is very, very timely, especially right now, after over a year that we've been through, right? So I cannot wait. So I think it's a perfect story for now. And I really hope to inspire people.
And truly, there's also the fact that, obviously there's been a great year of loss for many people, and your film also has the love never dies theme going, that the people we love are always with us, and that's in there too.
Yeah, exactly. It's a huge theme of the movie, because I think it's Nathan Osmond's character, who he plays himself. He says, yeah, the ones we love never really leave us, which I couldn't have said it better myself. That's so true. We never really are too far apart. We always carry them with us. And I think that's such a universal message, especially dealing with grief, especially after the year we've had. People have lost someone or so much. I think it's nice to know that you're not alone. Grief is just a natural, human emotion, and I think that's kind of what inspired me to write the story in the first place. Like, because I always loved how Disney movies, like those family movies like Lion King, they would tackle some really huge, issues like death and stuff, but for kids, and make it, like both entertaining and like a learning experience. I thought, ooh, if I could tackle on something like that's so real, like that grief and loss, but also make it like a family friendly, feel good movie about dreams. Like, that's the movie I want to see. And that's how we are here.
And I think that's the thing, is so many of our favorite movies, when you think about it, you realize, wait a minute, how many of our favorite movies really started with a story about grief? Obviously Disney movies, it's like, Bambi, somebody always dies in the beginning of a Disney movie. But some of our favorite movies actually do have a theme of grief and the recovery from grief and the reestablishing of new relationships and the maintaining. That's a big theme, and some of the happiest movies actually have like a grief story. And that's what's so funky about this movie is absolutely it is a story about a woman processing her grief as well as dealing with show business and following her dreams. That's all happening in this film, which is I have to say it's for to be in this film and say, okay, this is a small film, it's not big budget, it's shot in Utah, it got distribution, and there's actually a whole lot going on in this thing.
Oh, there's so much to it. Like, I mean, the trailer, I love the trailer, and I think it really, captures the feeling and the spark of the movie. But you and I both know there's so many more, like the beeline storylines. Like, you got a little bit, like, there's so much happening. Plus the original music, like, oh my gosh, working with Christopher Escalante, it's been fantastic. And all these guys, Caden.
Are you gonna put out a soundtrack album? Are you gonna have to like put out an album to go so they can buy the songs?
We'll have to, absolutely, yes. And I'll I'll keep you posted. Oh, Allison, what we should do? I should write a song for your character, Deborah.
No, that's what the problem. Everyone says, "Do you sing in this movie?" No, mercifully, I do not sing in this movie.
No. That's how she turned so cold. Is the music industry turned her down?
She was a failed singer because she was terrible. That would be Deborah's story because she couldn't sing. What do you want? Where do you see going to like what would you like to accomplish? Because this is becoming a thing. You've been making little films and working as an actress and doing this stuff. It's been building up, and now you're starting out these films with distribution. You're getting Osmonds, you're getting me in films, and it's starting to get some coverage here. What would you like to accomplish? What would you like to do next? What if you had like a huge budget and this keeps going? What would you like to do?
Oh boy, that's So during our post-production process, I've already written 2 new scripts. Just popping out these scripts.
You're very prolific. I've noticed that. You'll just go, oh yeah, so I wrote this other movie the other day.
And so I really would want to produce those in a similar fashion, though. I get very, attached to the characters and the writings. And there's this comedy that I'm working on right now. I'm just like, oh my gosh, I could just see this in my mind. So short-term goals, I want to make those movies, and long-term goals, I really, 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 really want to spend a night at Cinderella's castle.
Okay, and this is the true confession. See, one of the things, we're also both terrible Disnoids, the both of us, and we did go to Disneyland. So yes,
we're totally Disnoids. But I mean,
you went with your mom. We went with your mom. We went to Disneyland.
It was awesome. And then we sorted you in your Hogwarts house there. I remember.
Yeah, that felt very strange. Yeah. But yeah, it was. They had the little app. We're like, oh, you're. But yeah, you love your Disney, and that's what's so crazy. It's that when you meet you, as you said, Legally Blonde. It's like tee hee, giggle giggle, gosh golly gee, I like Disney. But I just made 2 films and somehow got distribution when other people can't. So there's multiple sides to you. It's like you have multiple identities here. You have like the public image, but then it's like, oh look, I got a whole film made in the middle of a pandemic, and no one got sick, and then I got distribution. And normal people, not everyone can do that.
Yeah, no, thank you. But no, you're totally right. I feel like there's definitely, I have this like persona, like. But yeah, there's something more to me. There's something more to everyone. I feel, and the more I work with amazing artists like you, and Monica and Caden.
Oh, Caden. Oh my God. I'm following him on Instagram now. He's adorable.
I know. He has the it factor. Now you can say you
It factor. Quick question. How come so many people on the set spoke French? I get there, and like half the people working there also spoke French.
So there's a really simple answer to that. Because they all went on Mormon missions and they had to speak French. Like my husband went to went to
Montreal. He went to Canada.
He went to Canada.
So Canada. Yeah.
He speaks French, and that's part of what lured me, but
it was the funniest thing. And that's right. People forget, it's like people, if they grew up Mormon, often got sent over, so they wind up usually speaking a second or third language. And so I get to the set and everyone's like, oh yeah, I hear you speak French. So it's like, okay, everyone on the set speaks French. That isn't something that usually happens.
Yeah. That's right, because you speak French. Oh my gosh. So and I know
we were chatting away. We were having a high old time. Yeah.
That's so awesome. That's so awesome. It was just hilarious.
There's so many quirky little strange things that went on in the making of this film. There's so many quirky little things going on in this movie. There's so many different just like things happening in this movie. Obviously you have the music, you have the band, you have the two very handsome young men sort of vying for Sam's attention. Yes. You have her, you have the just fabulously what an eccentric performance of Mr. Worky Nunez. You have me. There's a lot going on. As I said, there's a grief story, there's a follow your dream story, and all of these things. So I'm really happy about it, and I'm so happy I could have you on and show the trailer tonight.
Allison, it was, oh my gosh, we had so much fun. It didn't feel like work much, did it? Like
no, it did not.
Like I remember like going to your hotel and it's like, okay, here's the hairdresser, she's gonna cut your hair now, and
I had to throw you all out of my room. I had the hairdresser come in, did the haircut, we went through all the clothes, and I was like, you all actually have to leave at some point.
Well, we were having to
throw you out of my hotel room.
We were having Diet Coke. We were like, this is a party, and then I was like, oh crap, yeah, I gotta review the call sheets for tomorrow morning. Like,
get up at the Zoom and make a movie. So we had to get up and go. So thank you so much again for coming on my show. Thank you for having me in your film. I'm just so impressed with everything that you've done and how this film turned out and the trailer. I'm so pleased. I'll be seeing you in Utah soon, and I'm so pleased.
Wait, thank you so much for having me, Allison. And if anyone wants to request to see the movie in their area, they can do so at our website. It's just www.evenindreams.com.
And that way they can say, hey, I wanted a theater in my town. I think all the Osmond fans, all the Little House on the Prairie fans, all these different fan bases are going to be very pleased.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Allison. I can't wait.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.
And this is Allison Arngrim Show, and I'm Allison Arngrim. Thank you.
I found my way home across the Grand Mirage.
Are we off?
Ever since departure,
I think. Now we are. Yes, we're off.
Oh no!
Is that great?
Things I thought could never happen. Me in a punk band?
What?
We Are Lady Parts, a new original comedy streaming only on Peacock.
A confused mix of hash anthems and sour girl power. Syra, vocals. Aisha, drummer. Bisma, bassist. Mumtaz, band manager. And me, Amina, lead guitar.
You were really good until you puked all over the front row. Ew.
We Are Lady Parts, all episodes streaming now. Only on Peacock.
Is it time for a new heating and cooling system? Turn to the experts at Griffith Energy Services and Carrier today and get 0% financing for 18 months on a new heating and cooling system. Get the comfort you deserve from Griffith Energy Services and Carrier. Visit griffitenergyservices.com today for this and other exclusive offers. That's griffitenergyservices.com. License number MD HVACR 01-2278.
Griffith Energy Services.